All right, it is that time once again to hit the books, part of the Hammer Betting Network, alongside the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Joey Knish, producer extraordinaire Zach Phillips. I'm merely Brad Powers. Before we recap what has been the biggest college football regular season week of the year and look forward to the upcoming week, giving you guys some best bets, let me remind everybody, first and foremost, that Hit the Books is brought to you by BetStamp. The easiest way to improve as a sports bettor is to use multiple sports books and always get the best odds. We recommend using an odds comparison tool like BetStamp. BetStamp compares odds across every sports book for games, futures, and player props. You can save time and money by checking BetStamp before you bet. Download the app today. If you're looking to sign up for a new sportsbook account, please check out the offers available at betstamp.app/hitthebooks or hit the link in the description. If you sign up through this page, it helps support the show. We're going to try to set a record on today's show as far as likes and live viewership. So, guys, make sure you're smashing that like button as you're watching throughout the show. First and foremost, Knish, loser going up against you. Miami Hurricanes, nice win for you there. On big loss for me there. I knew I was dead once Temple threw that pick in the end zone early in that game when they're trying to come back. But kudos to you. You got one over me.
I finally got back in the win after your boy Gavin Wimsatt was making quite a sweat there early for the Michigan 7-minute drive, also by Michigan, and the game in knees. Punch it in, Jimbo. You're back. Give me a cover on that one. But I'm gonna listen. You want to start? Let's start the show with about like a first take. Skip Bayless pure hot take. Tell me that Miami isn't a top 5 team in the country. Tell me that Miami to win the national title 80-1 that I might have sprinkled a little bit as a bad bet. Because I tell you what, I haven't seen 5 teams in this country better than Miami so far. And that's a guy that was like, you're writing the Josh Gaddis eulogy. They haven't played that soft of a schedule, and this is 4 games, 4 absolute burials. They look fantastic so far, I have to say. Talk me off the ledge. Am I drunk? Like, maybe it's just a one, I get a head-to-head victory, and now I'm drinking the Hurricane coladas here. What do you think about Miami as a legitimate contender in the ACC and the college football playoff?
Oh, my God.
Go.
Well, I mean, I'll say this. It's as wide open as we've seen in college football in 15 years. Legitimately. I don't even think that's a hot take, and we're not over-exaggerating as far as what we've just seen. Because I'll tell you, we've seen a lot of, good teams. I don't think there's any great teams. So, I wouldn't make the bet, but this tough schedule, I mean, that's okay. Temple, come on. Temple, Bethune-Cookman. And an overrated Texas.
A lot of pride in that Cookman program. Listen, I think talk about just ACC. I think they're better than.
I love them in the ACC. I made that bet.
You got that 28-1 ticket that you might have to go halves on with Joey K after this week. But I think they're better than Florida State. I think they're better than Clemson. I think they're better than North Carolina. Now, granted, obviously they have the tough schedule. Maybe they drop 1 or 2 of those games. It doesn't come to roost, but I think at least in the ACC, which is probably only a 1-bid league, so you don't have much margin for error, I think they're the cream of the crop.
So they got a bye this week. Then they should crush Georgia Tech. And then I think they have that 2-week period where they're at North Carolina and then they get Clemson at home. So we'll see. You know what? It's not your worst take. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say don't do it, man. I'm surprised that was your takeaway from that one. The A&M game, they did look good, but I don't know how good A&M is, to be honest with you. Other thoughts as far as the weekend goes? How about the big game in South Bend? What was your thoughts there? I'll give quickly. It's interesting. I mean, I'm not surprised because Notre Dame doesn't win those games. What I actually was surprised was, and I'd be very worried if I was Ohio State, I thought Notre Dame controlled the line of scrimmage outside of the Travion Henderson run, and that really, really surprised me. And I don't think really bodes well for Ohio State against Penn State or Michigan later in the season. Tell me I'm crazy. I also thought it was ridiculous. Like the way Ryan Day was talking, like before the game, I thought, oh God, they're going to crush Notre Dame. The way he was fired up, I'm like, oh, we're going to get angry Ryan Day. We're going to get aggressive Ryan Day. And then I didn't like what I saw. I know he was fired up at the end of the game and an 86-year-old man, but I mean, come on, you're fired up over an 86-year-old man. Get fired up at Harbaugh. Punch him in the mouth. for a change. I mean, I don't. I mean, they won. Kyle McCord made some throws, but I mean, Notre Dame had like 5 opportunities to make one play.
Yeah,
and it would have ended the game, and they didn't do it because they're Notre Dame. But I wasn't overly impressed with the Buckeyes. Were you?
no, you know what? I will say, I mean, obviously their defense, came to play for the most part. But even though they did allow Estime to have, a good on the ground, it is an improved Ohio State defense for sure. I think the biggest takeaway is Kyle McCord's just a guy. This is the first time in like since I've been like an adult that I can't remember, an Ohio State quarterback that I don't think is an NFL guy that isn't special. I mean, you've been talking like they've had so many guys that where it's like a couple guys, 2 guys go down and Cardell Jones wins them the national title. Like they've had such special players at that position for so long. He just seems like a mid-level Power 5 QB. Like nothing pops. His arm, his mobility, the way he reads, like he has the best weapons in all of college football, and he just seems very. Now, granted, the Big Ten outside of a few teams is terrible. They might get their way to 11-1 after getting that win. So, as you said, it's so wide open this year that you never know.
They're going to beat Penn State at home. I don't know.
We admit our original summer Penn State offense takes seem to be coming back here, where it's like I know their defense is unbelievable, but they can't really, like Drew Aller.
Iowa's good defense, Knish.
Yeah,
come on.
But they seem like Penn State and Ohio State kind of seem like mirror images of each other this year. So I don't know. I saw you in the chat that 4th and inches end around.
Oh my God!
You didn't deserve to win the game after that. You really didn't. Like that should have been it. But yeah, I mean they got it done, and now they don't. They just don't have very many losable games outside of that. So we'll see what happens. But it was for a game that was lower scoring. It was at least the 4th quarter was quite a intriguing watch.
Yeah, I mean both teams moved the ball, so I mean it was exciting that it wasn't a bunch of 3 and outs. I mean they just weren't, they were getting in scoring position and getting stopped. So yeah, good game. As a Notre Dame fan, it wasn't. I don't know how I do it. I don't know how anybody does it. Let's get it going. Was there any other game that really caught your eye? I mean, Clemson, Florida State, I'll be honest with you, wasn't overly impressed with either team. Clemson had their opportunities to win that one, didn't do it. Florida State banged up. Kudos for them for getting a win, but I don't think they were the better team. I thought they were fortunate, to be honest with you. It was more mismanagement by Clemson than great Florida State. They got the defensive touchdown. The only time they're covering in the entire game was the Keon Coleman touchdown in overtime. I don't know, man. I'm just across – I mean, Georgia and Michigan are 1-2, but they haven't covered a game yet. I mean, they've had a couple pushes, and it's I've never seen this in 15 years. I mean, right now my power rankings, I have like 13 teams within a touchdown of one another at the top of college football. I mean, we've seen playoff games with double-digit spreads frequently.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's 4 teams, not 13.
I don't think we can do this segment without a BP Coach Prime victory lap here, where at one point in the, I saw a stat, one point in the second half, total yards were like 439 to 39. That was about as, you want to talk about a comeback to earth game. Woo boy. That was about as, and Dan Lanning, some of the speeches, that was about as, I honestly we had some Oregon positions. We were talking about it. You were still even, giving it out.
I did it on Friday night.
Yeah. I wasn't as bullish, but man, that was from the very start. Just, it could have been 70-0 if they wanted it to be. So, a little comeback to earth moment there for Colorado and Coach Prime. The only other take I had from the weekend was I started with the Miami. One of my the guys I was talking with said he thinks Washington is right up there as the best team in the country. That's another one where they again, tough schedule. Who knows if Pac-12 can get 2 teams in, but that it's they probably don't have much margin for error to get in the playoff. But in terms of teams, they look like the best team in the Pac-12, and maybe the best team in I mean, their offense looks a lot more electric than what's going on in Ann Arbor and Athens. So, yeah, they look scary good right now. And this is the type of year, as you said, where without an elite Georgia, an elite Bama, who knows? You never know. They could actually have a shot.
I would say, I'm glad you brought that up. The most elite unit right now in college football is Washington's offense.
Agreed.
That looks like that's national. You pointed out that's national championship caliber. I don't know about the defense yet, but they are really good. I see Penix is overtaking Caleb Williams in some of the future odds as far as the Heisman. I agree with that for right now. I mean, I got Washington Power as the best team in the Pac-12. You know, like number one in the country in yards per play margin. They didn't even play that great against Cal, and they had 45 points up at halftime against my beloved Cal team. Yeah, well, we'll see this week. I did bet Washington early on the openers there, and we can talk more them. I think they got Oregon next week or 2 weeks from now. That'll be a huge game. So we'll be talking Washington throughout the rest of the season. Let's just get to some games for this week. We might as well not beat around the bush here. Onion Man in the chat. Some are saying Georgia Southern is an absolute wagon. I bet Georgia Southern this week. I mean, what they did, one of the more impressive performances of last weekend is what they did to Ball State. I mean, they're about a 5.5, 6 point road favorite, and they just absolutely annihilated Ball State. In fact, statistical wise, more impressive against Ball State than Georgia, not Georgia State, Georgia and Kentucky. So I like them this week. I don't like Coastal. I watched Coastal, got a chance to watch Coastal significantly on what was that Thursday night against Georgia State, and didn't see it from a coaching aspect, didn't see it from a physicality aspect. I like this Georgia Southern team. What say you, man?
Yep, joined you on that one. Saw you send her out last night. Liked it as well. The Tim Beck era at Coastal, I think all of the issues, kind of the game management, the way they're playing, kind of came to roost against Georgia State. And now you're going up against a team with probably an even more high-powered offense. And I mean, Georgia Southern's a team that, if they didn't throw, 15 interceptions, they're in a game with Wisconsin the week before and probably outplayed them outside of turnovers. So I'm with you. These are two teams, polar opposite directions as far as where they're heading this season. And I agree. I think they can run it up. And the other thing, as you said, the defensive side of the ball against Ball State, which again, I'm not going to say, Ball State is a dynamic offense, and even against Wisconsin for some of the game, the defense is competing. It's not elite, but when you mix it with this high-powered offense, especially now in the Sun Belt, where, let's be frank here, the top of the Sun Belt no longer seems like it's this. I mean, South Alabama was a possession away from losing to Central Michigan. Troy does not look.
They lost to Central Michigan.
Oh, did it? I didn't even say. I thought they lost to Central Michigan. I thought they did. And Troy doesn't seem like a team that has looked like elite anymore. So it's wide open, baby. And then Coastal is definitely taking a step back. So I like that. I like that under a TD. I think that'll keep going.
All right, I'll sign up for that. 6.5. Best bet for me. I'm fine with that. I like this team quite a bit. Yeah, you mentioned the defense coordinator. What he did, I thought, man, Clay Helton got a bad rap at USC. Maybe some of it deservedly so, but I mean, he wasn't the only coach that couldn't win at SC throughout that 10 years there. So what he did was in the offseason,
the top 3 coach in college football, giving him a house, $100 million in a house in SoCal to get him over there to turn USC around. So that wasn't the easiest rebuild for a long time.
Yeah, and what he did was he liked the way Buffalo in the bowl game defended his offense. He thought it was the best defense that he faced all year. So he hired the Buffalo defensive coordinator this offseason. So I got to look at that. Wonder if the Buffalo DC had already prepped for Ball State last year, and then they gave him some. That's something I didn't even look at handicapping wise. I missed the boat, to say the least, last week. Hopefully you don't miss it this week. Georgia Southern, there's your first best bet. Guys, make sure you're smashing that like button. We want to set the record here on the show. We got more best bets coming your way here. Maybe even talk a little Monday Night Football since there's a doubleheader. I like it. I like a side.
Okay.
Tonight. Yeah. All right. Let's keep it going here. Dylan in the chat. I need a Joey. Speaking of Monday Night Football, Thursday night football live stream, fourth quarter guest.
I will be on that. I think I'm going on first quarter right now. For Packers game of the century, Packers Lions. I think I'm going to start it off though. The fourth quarter, I gotta be honest with you, I'm usually sweating it pretty hard. And then you know what? If things go bad, I don't want to hear the chirping from Pizzol. You know what I'm saying? I'll jump back on. If we're winning, then I'll front run and jump back on. But for now, it's scheduled for first quarter for Packers Lions Thursday. So yeah, excited for that. That's going to be it's going to be quite the Monday night or the Thursday night showdown for a Thursday night 2-1.
I like the Lions.
Me too. I don't think the Packers are any damn good. I think the matchup's okay too. Injuries, got to watch the injury report though. We left. This is getting in the weeds for an NFL game, but Lions were down to like their 4-string left tackle after Sunday. So be on the lookout for the injury report. But I like the Lions. Shocker as to start to as well.
Steve in the chat, Brad, I have to know how much we downgraded Colorado. Yeah, I downgraded them about 3 points.
Brad downgraded Colorado about 3 months ago, and he hasn't adjusted even after it. So
the downgrade started the Colorado State game. And if you're really watching, there were signs even in the 2 wins that this was a phony fucking team. But sorry about the F-bomb there.
Your salt for Colorado is just.
Well, I mean, it's nothing. Honestly, it's nothing against Dion or Colorado. It's just the way they're hyped from the media and stuff. Keyshawn Johnson, they saying that the coaches got other coaching staffs gave the game plan, to Oregon for how to defend Colorado. Or how about this? Oregon's just way better than Colorado, you idiot. I mean, come on.
What do you think? Well, let's talk. So USC, who totally sleptwalked through the Arizona State game for the most part. I don't know. What do you think about this week, this current number? Obviously, that was one that we were telling people to bet many moons ago at some of the look-aheads that were out there. But at current, I kind of feel like USC turns up here and kind of buries. No, their defense is not what Oregon's is, but I think Colorado's in for another rough one this week.
Yeah, let's wait. I mean, it got up to 24 and a half yesterday. It's coming down. There's still love for Dion. I mean, I don't get it, but let's see if we can get a 21 out there, okay. And then we jump in. I didn't like that performance from SC. They were off a bye, man.
Against Arizona State. That was versus like the hospital ward of whoever was left for Arizona State, and the game's like a 1-score game in the third quarter. So
yeah.
That is kind of that is a very seems like it's been a USC staple in some of those spots where they don't mind letting down over there. But I just gut feeling, I think they'll be locked in for this baby.
Yeah. And obviously, look, there's motivation for margin against Dion. They're recruiting against him now all of a sudden. So yeah, I think SC's the right spot. We'll come back to that game on the Friday show at 5 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you guys are watching that one as well. Let's tackle 2 questions in the chat with one game. Owen he loves Kentucky this week. Tyler's opposite. He's got Florida +3 and feeling good. I haven't bet the game yet. Have you? I see there was a little bit of battle in the marketplace, but I haven't gotten involved yet. I mean, Kentucky, who the hell have they played? And they weren't impressive last week. I know we best bet against them. And how they had 2 non-offensive touchdowns to beat us. That sucked.
Yep. That was unfortunate. I was going to say I don't think they were significant. I bet Florida. I sniped it early. Like there was a 3.5 out there. I grabbed it. There's still a number of flat 3s out there. I'm on that side of it. I think that was the number I was looking for. +3 or better on Florida. I listen.
Best bet +3. There's plenty of them out there.
If you're with it, I'm with it with a flat 3.
I only made it 2, so let's do it. Key number.
I just think Florida, number of guys missing last week. They basically like slogged their way through the Charlotte game. I think Mertz will be a little bit healthier. And I agree. There is nothing I've seen from this Kentucky offense. I don't think their defense is as good as it's been in past years either. So this is a game where hey, this is a classic game. If I get Kentucky +3, I'd play that. If I get Florida +3, I'd play that. We got the 3 on Florida. Totals down there on this one, the mid 40s. I took the +3.
Another best bet. I'm fine with that. I think Florida's defense is legit. I love their defense coordinator, and they'll wake up to this one. And again, Kentucky hasn't played anybody yet, and phony win last week, so it makes sense. Jake in the chat, UCF -13, Baylor fan here, and we are absolute cheeks. Don't see a way we cover. I think it's down from 13, isn't it? Or did it go back up? I know a group released UCF earlier today, went
Yeah,
up, but I think
there's some
there was
12, 11 and
buyback
a
about
half out there
Shapen, I
now.
think.
I mean, Baylor looks bad. I don't. I agree. Like maybe that you're getting a bit of an inflated price here on them, but they have been. I mean, I know they got a little unfortunate versus Texas, where they were in the red zone a number of times, couldn't turn it into points. Wasn't a 38-6 type of game, but still not a game they were relatively competitive in. I even go back to like the week before against Long Island, who's like a very poor FCS program, and that game is like within 8 points in the second half, where like and Long Island's actually moving the ball on them. I don't know if this like. Listen, I'm not going to say give you the hot. I don't know if the Dave Aranda era is. I don't know what it's looking like. I know they got the quarterback hurt and all that, but I didn't take part in it though. That's a lot of words to say. Even though I think Baylor could be in some trouble for the staff and the tenure. I don't have a bet on this game. Do you?
No, I don't. I haven't bet it yet. There were some cheap numbers that I'll tell you. The opening numbers were. I felt like they got botted because I couldn't get to anything. I mean, I still made 40 bets, but I mean, I still was taking the second of the number instead of first crack. So no, I did not get any early bets on UCF. I think it's the right side. Haven't got to the window yet. Tyler Warden in the chat. We on Jacksonville State -6.5. Well, I was last week. Raz liked Eastern Michigan. I like that. That was a good big win for me. I needed it after the horseshoe crushed my ass on Air Force San Jose State game. But
yeah, that was our favorite play of the week last week. I think we even
should have won by more, to be honest with you.
I think we had said that we expected Jacksonville State to win that by multiple scores, and they did. And to be honest with you, I don't even think they even played that well. Like defensively, they played well. Offensively, they left some meat on the bone. And that was kind of a dominant from start to finish. So yeah, I think that was just a right spot to back Jacksonville State there against an Eastern Michigan team that's
really
lacking.
bad.
Yeah, lacking a lot this season.
So this week, Sam Houston State's a short week on the road. Sam Houston's got a legitimate defense. I mean, I think Jacksonville State's the right side. I haven't gotten in the window yet, and I'm Mr. Jacksonville State after last week. But
yeah, I know I didn't get there either. Sam Houston's offense. Thank God I didn't know that Gunnell was starting last week, or I probably would have got sucked into more Sam Houston last week. You can see why he wasn't playing, because he wasn't any better than Shoemaker who they had out there. This is worse than like the worst Iowa offense I can remember. They can't run, they can't pass, nobody's open ever. The system is stale. It's like an old school. It's terrible. Now, granted, I think they match up pretty well defensively against what Jacksonville State wants to do on the ground. Zion Webb, not a huge, their passing game's pretty mediocre. So I didn't want to lay close to a touchdown here with them, but I'm back on my Sam Houston is like off my radar for betting until probably next season.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they're going to set the record for some futility on offense. I'm
it's like,
it's getting there. I mean, like this could be the worst offense in the history of college football,
yeah.
Which is saying something considering the era that we're in. Wade in the chat, Marcus Freeman might want to hop in, math lecture, brush up on his counting skills. Yeah, I can understand it happening for one play with all the commotion and stuff, but back-to-back plays. Honestly, if they have an 11th guy on that other side, I don't know if Ohio State scores. He barely got in as it was. He
already got in by like a quarter of a yard there. So it's so hard with the communication, but the right thing to do there is have one of your guys just jump offside, right, to stop it and get and then get the 11th guy. I see what he was saying where he didn't want to run somebody out there and give him two cracks at it, but you kind of want to create some. This is easy to say from my couch that you want to like just create some jump into the backfield and stop it so you can get the 11th guy out there. But easier said than done.
I mean, he's still young, man. He's younger than me. It's only still his 15th game as a head coach. I know Notre Dame played very physical game. I'm not down on Marcus Freeman after that game. I'll put it that way. Just unfortunate. I blame more of the coordinators and stuff. People up in the box not communicating that down on the sidelines.
Yeah.
That's who I complain there about that one. Tom in the chat, Georgia Tech 500-1 to win the ACC on FanDuel play. I I like what I'm seeing from them. I
actually, no joke, bet that exact number at Circa before the season for like a pizza bet. And then they, when they were beating Louisville for that, I was like, oh, we're live here, baby. And then of course, they blow that game. So I'm not going to talk you off it, but there's a few we talked about early in the show. There's a few teams in the ACC that are just better than like Miami, North Carolina, where you were on the right side of that, of like, those teams are better than I thought they'd be. So when you mix in Florida State and Duke, like, it's probably just not happening.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk you off throwing, whatever, 20, 50, $100 on 5 to 1, but I think there's just a few too many teams in the ACC that they're significantly worse than.
Let's cash the win total. I bet that. I bet over on Georgia Tech. Let's get
We'll take that.
Interesting. A lot of money. That one's back and forth right before we came on this week against my alma mater, BG. I saw some early money on Georgia Tech, and they're starting to get resistance. I don't know why on BG, but we'll see. I think it's a blowout this week. Ruark in chat, Wyoming -13 this morning. I bet it. I was wanting to play against Wyoming. Very phony final. I don't know if anybody watched it. I did because I liked App State. App State's up 12. We're middle of the fourth quarter.
Total yards were like 500 to 3. They lose.
Yeah, and with less than 2 minutes left, App State's lining up for a field goal. It's going to clinch the game. And Wyoming blocks and returns it for a touchdown. And then App State goes down the field to tie it and force overtime. They throw an interception. It just was, whew. Yeah, Wyoming stats are terrible, but my goodness, they opened at 10. We'll talk about a few of them. I was going in that thinking I was going to bet New Mexico, and then it opened 10, way too low. So that's my bet. Now I wouldn't bet it. Agreed. Did you bet it at all?
No, didn't get involved early, and I agree. Now that it's up around 2 touchdowns or higher, it's nothing for me.
Yeah, let's see how high it goes. Ethad in the chat. Air Force -10 seems low to me at home against San Diego State. I will say San Diego State's impressed me last couple weeks. Couple covers against Boise.
Better, yeah.
Yeah, they scored last to get the cover against Boise in that one. I bet Air Force. I learned my lesson on Air Force. I got the message loud and clear last Friday. That was an embarrassing bet on San Jose State. Although I had a smirk on my face the first 25 minutes when they were up 10. I was like, BP. And then 35-0 run out. I was humbled to say the least. Did you bet at all at this one? I could only look towards Air Force, but my goodness, San Diego State has a history of defending Air Force well.
Yeah.
I know Rocky Long's no longer there, but that would be my concern.
Yeah, I didn't get involved. This is one of those. I agree. I thought San Diego State would be a complete flop for most of the year. It has been a bit better. You give them credit. The offense has looked a little bit better. It's not as there's been some of those San Diego State defenses in the past that I thought could really give Air Force trouble. I don't know if this is the type. So it would be only Air Force for me, but not something I've got involved in yet either.
What about Kansas +17 at Texas? I've thought about betting this, but I haven't got there yet. What say you?
Yeah, I bet. There's some 17.5. I bet it. There's some 18 on the soft open. I bet it. I just can't get to we've talked about it. I love this Kansas staff. Listen, their defense is probably going to give up a lot here. I just can't get to the margin here.
Maybe it out 17.5. We see. I got Bet Rivers. I got Caesars.
I'm in.
I got Unibet. That's Camby.
I just can't. I know this is one that from a rating standpoint, maybe doesn't have a ton of merit. I love backing this staff especially getting this type of when you're getting this type of number. Kansas defense a little bit, but I haven't been Texas's offense, which I thought would be when Sark was in his bag versus Bama. I was like, woo, this team last few weeks. It's been, I know they ran the ball versus Baylor some, but they obviously a disappointing effort versus Wyoming. It's been very inconsistent. And this Kansas offense is not inconsistent. It's consistently dynamic. I know what we're going to get from them. I know they have 2 quarterbacks that can get it out there. Love the play calling and all that. Yeah, and this has been one. I know the narrative is going to be like Kansas has, won this game even when they were, crap for some of those years. But I can't get to 17 or higher here. So, yeah, I like it.
There you go, 17.5. Another best bet. There's 3, guys. 3. Rolling here. Might have 1 or 2 more coming your way. Make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button there, guys. Trying to set a record today. Andrew in the chat. Georgia State -1. Don't believe in Troy, but the line moved hard from a -3. I missed that today. Did you see who put that order out? I thought that was a pretty good bet on Troy +3, but I wouldn't bet it now.
No, I agree with you. That I did not see. Actually, let me hold on. Let's take a look here to see who actually, if I know who got. I didn't see that order go out either, but I noticed, once it got up to 3, figured there would be some some buyback there. But now, if any, it was Mr. Right Angle ad there that hit the Troy.
Really good bet.
Yeah, so I agree that now, it was. So that's one of those now that's kind of in the, if anything, I'd probably, if Georgia State got to a pick or a small dog, I kind of lean that way. But I don't have much of an opinion on it where it's at now.
I was super impressed with Georgia State again at Coastal on a short week. That's a tough place to win. I think Coastal was like 20-1 or 20-2 at home, and they just controlled matters. I thought they had the right frame of mind from start to finish in that game. They got a legit running back. Troy, turnovers have been the issue. Their box scores look better than their final scores, including against Western Kentucky last week. So +3 was the play. Good play by Right Angle there. Trip in the chat. You can get Penn State +7.5 right now at FanDuel at Ohio State. I would make that bet. What say you? I think I got it 6 right now.
Me too. I've actually played this look ahead a few times in the summer and in the season at a bit higher than that, but I agree. I think over a touchdown is good there. Someone else looked at. I played some Washington in the look ahead market. I think it moved off 3 though. I liked them -3 in money line when they were versus Oregon. But I agree with that one. Those were the only 2 that I think when they had the look ahead games, if they had a couple of them up that I had any interest in.
I got to be honest. I thought I was looking a bunch of places had win totals up last week. There was only a few. Washington was one I bet over 9.5. LSU had a 8.5. That almost went to shit right away against Arkansas. But I thought they were pretty good. Like one book, I'm trying to think. I think it was Caesars had like 40 teams up. But man, they were pretty tight, to be honest with you. I wasn't running the window to saying it was a great bet other than that Washington one. Luke in the chat, Uncle K, instead of some college football props, can you do it with some Monday Night Football props? You got it?
I tell you what, this is, and I don't want to get into a big dialogue here. NFL props these days on game day, like once they've been shaped, are like the hardest props out there to beat. And I know our friend Hitman does it. Let me see if he was on
he sent a couple today.
Yeah, a Burrow under 23.5 completions and Atwell under 4.5 receptions were the 2 that he sent out today. So I'll hijack the Hitman plays, give him out here since he already sent them. But man, oh man, I tell you what, NFL props on game days now are, I'm not going to say they're as efficient as like NFL sides and totals. They're really hard. 5 years ago, it used to be a printer. It is no longer the easy the prop game that it used to be. So it's a lot tighter.
What do you attribute it to? Because I've never really, that's one market I really haven't bet. I'm too busy betting college football on Sunday.
I think it's a few factors of like legals post these early now. The openers get shaped. They used to be like they would go to PPHs, they'd still be bad and everything. Now I think a lot of people bet these at open. Also, a lot of, I'm not going to name, a lot of the old DFS people have gone over to now giving out player prep because DFS obviously declining. Now those people, if they want to sell packages and stay relevant, they give out NFL player props. So a lot, anything that's way off or a mistake gets snatched up like that. And now you're betting into a pretty, and like the liquidity's there. I mean, you can bet these plays at a ton of, so there's a lot of people doing props now too. So it's just a lot harder than it used to be. Like anything that, starts off easy, it does usually gets more efficient over time.
Tell you what was easy, and I know there's money in the crumbs. FCS unders, 14-2 if you hit the weather unders.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. Okay. $250 is $250 when you're 14-2. It adds up. I don't care. So they were moving like 15 points too. Let's keep it going here. Cree in the chat. Duke ND number. Wait, if I like Duke. Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's always about numbers, not teams. I went into Sunday morning thinking I want to max bet Duke. I mean, I can't think of a more of a debilitating loss for Notre Dame. and playing Duke and maybe Duke's biggest game ever as far as football goes. And Circa opened too, and I had to bet Notre Dame. So I was like, son of a bitch. I was thinking it was going to come at least 6. So I'm not betting Duke unless it gets clearly to 6. And maybe I might even need 7 now. Quick handicap for me. I see that now there's just 6 at DraftKings. One hand, obviously flat spot, maybe for Notre Dame, although they could regroup. I'm hearing the right things so far. It's early in the week. We'll see how practices go. I'm not sure. Mike Elko's really good. He's done an unbelievable job. I would have given him Coach of the Year last year. Go look at their schedule over the last 2 years. They really have not played anybody in his entire tenure. They played Clemson. And we all know in that game, Clemson messed up, 3-4 trips in the red zone. I'm not saying that, Duke wasn't the right side as far as covering, but I thought it was a game that should have went down to the wire that ended up winning by 3 touchdowns. So I don't know. What say you? I know you're probably on the Duke bandwagon this week.
Listen, I'm a Dukey, most of the season here for life, but at the same time, kind of be one that I'm looking for a TD. I agree with you. That opener was way low. It's gotten bet up through, the 3, the 4, and all that. To get Duke here, we'll see if it gets. I'm not really, this is one where usually have a pretty good feel of where the market's going to go, and some people, I'm not sure on this one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I think it kind of trades probably in the old hashtag Vegas zone there in the 5 and 6. So, but yeah, if I get a TD, I'll play some Duke. If not, it's probably just kind of trades around where it's at now.
Tell me what you think of this. I think it could be a high variance game. I can see Notre Dame blowing them out if they're in the right frame of mind. I can see Notre Dame getting beat by 10. I think if you like Duke, I think you got to take them on the money line or some alternative point spreads. It's a big game, so maybe there's a little bit of a small market out there for that. How about a big Friday night game? John in the chat, thoughts on Oregon State, Utah at 3. I'm part of the Oregon State money, but just because I made it 3. I do think they're the right side, but I got to be honest with you. I was a little disappointed, and then some, with the performance against Washington State.
Same.
I was actually disappointed with the San Diego State performance, too.
Yeah, one of the, I was talking to one of my guys, and he was like, kind of saying that they thinks the book is out on the Oregon State offense, where people are loading the box up. You saw Wazoo being super aggressive and just forcing DJU to be a dynamic passer, an efficient passer, where we're going to try and load the box as much as we can and see if he can beat us. And especially, against a team with a dynamic offense like Wazoo, which is not Utah. So I agree with you this week. I think this is a better matchup for what Oregon State wants to do. But, when they're going to go up against, some of the prolific offenses here in the Pac-12, I don't think they can go toe-to-toe where, you can kind of figure, we can limit Oregon State's offense now. And their defense is good. It's not elite, though. It doesn't have, like that absolute elite talent across the board. But I think this week is a good spot to back them there. I wouldn't go if you got access to one of those 2.5. I think I'm okay there. Another game that I'd probably be, some of these, like I talked with Ohio State last week, when I think it's going to be around 3, I'll wait and see if I can get, I got a lot of exchange access and stuff. I'll try and buy on a cheap money line or cross with somebody. But I agree. I think Oregon State's the side here. I like this matchup for them a lot better than some of the other teams they'll have to come that are coming up for them.
Good stuff. RW fan in the chat. Thoughts on Houston against Texas Tech? Houston a buy at 10. For me, Dana Holgerson's hardly ever a buy. So
you want some Knish Mole stuff on this one?
Yeah, let's hear it. Texas Tech's quarterback's out, but I don't think Shuck's worth that much, honestly.
So Shuck is out for sure, obviously. Yeah. Morton, very banged up. First sources. So, and if you look at his stat line, that's a guy who has come in and played, relatively well in his career. I think he was 13 for 37 after the game, super banged up. They don't have really their third stringer is like they don't have Smith
anymore. He's the quarterback at Houston.
Yeah, he's gone. They converted. So this week in practice, supposedly they're going to have a couple of like wide receiver converts try and come in and run some Wildcats. So my early week guess here from the info I've received is that they try and shoot Morton up as much as possible. He plays at less than 100%. And they probably go a heavy type of to run game plan. And that if he can't go, they're really up against it, where like they literally like don't have a third string quarterback that has any type of viability. So it'll be like a combo of Wildcat and some guys that you've probably never heard of before. So I like Houston at, if you got a 10 out there, 10, 9.5, and anything under 54 though. So
You're going against the penny lane 10.
Yeah, and because I think some of that is not the Morton stuff. McGuire came out and was, pretty like positive. The stuff that I've heard is he's definitely not going into this game.
Want to go under?
So yeah, I think under 54 and a half is good there. And anything 10 or better on Houston.
Yeah, I think 54 is. I mean, there's a 54 and a half out there at a couple books. So yeah, 54 or better. Let's go under. I've already bet the under. I feel really good about that now. On that one. So
yes, I would say even if Morton goes, like their game plan is going to be, I do not expect him to be slinging it 30, 40, 50 times with what I've heard so far. So we'll see. Again, a lot can change in a week, but no,
I like the under regardless. So
agreed.
I like
agreed.
Great
I wish they were playing a different somebody else than Holgo. I could be a lot more bullish on fading it this week.
Yeah, he's scared.
You never know what Uncle Dana is going to come up with.
I love
good
it.
or bad.
Love it. Regardless of the result, that's one of my favorite picks that you've given out. Joshua in the chat, BP and Joey K gave you guys winning at Wyoming against Texas last week. Charlotte this week. Sleepy Big Dog BG. Sleepy spot is Bowling Green plus 24. I could see the 24. Where's it? Is it still 24? Or did those get bought up?
I thought those were bought up. Let's see what the Zachy Markets here can pull up for us. Who is playing quarterback for this week is because they went with Bazelak over the weekend, right?
It doesn't. They don't have a quarterback. They don't. More importantly, they don't have a guy who could coach quarterback. So it doesn't matter who's there. It's pretty pathetic. So
yeah, I mean Bazelak 17 for 32, 104. 17 for 32 for 104.
How'd they cover against Michigan with that garbage?
Well, they started Orth that game.
Yeah.
He hit a few throws, and I mean to get it, you were. I'll give you the Michigan. The Rutgers cap there was like they just the tempo now is so slow. If Michigan, I gotta say too, I don't from a maximizing your win probability. I don't think I feel like it's detracting from what Michigan and Georgia and these teams have done in the past is like you're creating more of an opportunity with less possessions for a few things to go wrong there where and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously I don't think this year neither team will make adjustments, but I wonder unless this rule changes back, if you start seeing some of these teams just mix in more tempo, because it's like Michigan had like 6 possessions on Saturday of like, they had to pick 6 there and stuff, but where it's like, 1 or 2 plays go against you or a couple turnovers, you're letting some of these, crap teams hang around because the game's so much shorter.
Let's talk those two teams here in the next couple comments. We'll start with Georgia. Drunk driver, H3. Auburn plus 14.5 at home against Georgia.
No.
No, I'm not. In fact, I bet Georgia. I mean, I don't see it from Auburn. It's not there, man. I respected the money that came against Auburn last week. Ended up being right. I don't see it. Do you?
Nope. Don't see it at all. Our boy Peyton Thorne. Woo boy. I mean, I know he played that passing yards prop, and it wasn't because guys weren't open. There was guys open. He missed them badly many times. So, I mean, Hugh Freeze was, I say he dialed it up. There was plays there for Auburn to be made. They couldn't make them. And I don't think, that's why they took a Michigan State transfer in the portal, because he knew they didn't have a quarterback on the roster, and they don't. When you got 3 guys that you're trying to run out, that means you don't have one. So I don't think Auburn, and like some of the success they've had on the ground, they're not going to have that versus Georgia. So even though Georgia's been slow and ugly and all these things that we've talked about, no, especially at some flat 14s that you're seeing out there now. That's UGA for me.
And I did bet 14 on the open.
If you got access to that place that's 14, I agree. I've bet some 14 as well. And if you got access to 14, we won't give it because it's not, consensus.
It's got to be a few books. Let's talk Michigan. We'll skip ahead to Charlie in the chat. Michigan, Nebraska. Did you all hit the under 42.5 on the open? I didn't. I haven't hit the side either. I want to get your opinion. I'm leaning towards Nebraska, but I'm worried about the running back position. And I'm just worried that the quarterback will have a couple turnovers and I'll have a really good play. And it'll be, it'll be 17-7 Michigan will turn into 31-7 Michigan.
Yeah, it's funny. Wide disparity. Like you've got, like a sharp book there and Pinnacle trading 17 and then like Sport Trade 18.5 here, so I think there's just such a disparity on this one in terms of like, I don't think Nebraska will be able to do anything on offense. But as you said, they're going to go again, another one, they'll go super. I mean, this is going to be a carbon copy of the Rutgers game where Rutgers, was able to push or cover, depending on what number you got, one play. They hit one play. And the fact that Michigan's going so slow and, all these, like your margin to cover these, numbers with the Nebraska defense that has played pretty damn good for most of the year.
Up front they are. Hell yeah.
So I didn't get involved. I will say after I'm a little, the other thing also is, are they going to bring Sims back if he can play?
I hope.
I think
that would be the disaster. I would not want anything with Nebraska.
I feel like that if he's healthy, I think they're going to give him another shot. I wouldn't, but I just know from the tea leaves I've read in the media, I think they are.
That's how you don't cover a game like this with him. You just don't. I don't care what his upside is. The downside, any type of turnovers in this game with limited possessions would sink you. We'll come back to that on Friday. Let's check and see. We'll come back to that one. Right now, I'm leading Nebraska. Zach in the chat, Bama minus 14.5 capable showing out against Mississippi State. I missed it. I'd see it open 14. Somebody got it before me. But I'm not wild about it. Bama's still inconsistent, man. That first half was ugly against Ole Miss. I want to see it for this game. This will be a big game on where Alabama season's going to go because I was impressed with the second half. That was their best half of football they played all year. But, man, that first half was bad. Mississippi State was kind of better than I expected against South Carolina, to be honest with you.
I will say they were able to move it a little bit more. I don't want to back them either, though, especially now that it's over, the 14. This was one I was not really particularly looking, even see where it opened there to get involved in, especially now that, over 14.5 there. So I'm probably leaving this one alone unless there's some drastic movement here.
Could see under, to be honest with you. I'm going to take a look more of that. I could see that. Chris in the chat. This is what I'm anxious to hear your thoughts on. Syracuse +7 are better at home against Clemson. They've kind of played Clemson really tough last 4 or 5 years. And that was better Clemson teams and worse Syracuse teams. What say you on this one at 7?
Now they have. I agree with you. But Joey K last week was likening himself the troops. I feel like some of these Syracuse seasons just like all meld together where like, oh, we played Wagner and like, a community college and scored 80 on them. Then you play a real team and then it's like, oh, then now they were, they scoring 20. So they did, again, big second half. We're able to get in the depending on what number you got, depending on, get in the door there. But I don't know. I think they're going to struggle a little more offensively here than I was, played a little Clemson under a TD. Not something I'm going to be super bullish on, especially because, Clemson's offense just cannot make explosive plays like in the passing game. And so I know they got a little fortunate there with Florida State, in some of the aspects. And then should have, if they didn't have an insured salesman kicking, they probably win that game. But I don't know. I'm not a Cuse believer, even though, some of their early results look nice.
I just wonder, it's the old handicapping 101, the dream crusher for Clemson. When have they been out of it in September before?
Yeah.
I don't know. And they're banged up watching that game. They're getting banged up at some positions. So I like Syracuse there. We'll revisit that one later.
I was going to say, maybe we'll have a Friday head-to-head.
Yeah, we'll do that. There's been a battle in the marketplace. It goes off, back and forth. So there's some competing groups on this one, in my opinion. Andrew in the chat, anxious to hear your thoughts on this one. LSU -2.5, right? I kind of like LSU -2.5. I do think Ole Miss is a fraud.
Oh, yeah. I agree. And listen, I'm not saying that LSU is by all means like this national title contender that we might have thought coming into the year, but I totally agree. All of Mississippi's results this year just scream fraudulent. The one thing they can do is I feel they've shored up the run defense, and that kind of let them hang around versus Bama there in some aspects.
Or is Alabama's run offense not that great?
That's very fair. But I think LSU's passing offense much more dynamic, where they can really attack part of what I don't think Ole Miss can do well. And Ole Miss's offense just I don't know. Lane is another one of those. He's like Syracuse Lane, where they'll run it up against some peasant, and then the overall package will look good. But when they really need to get scores at first down, I'm just not a fan. I like anything under 3 there. I played some early money line, early -1.5, even at 2.5. I'm still on LSU.
I am too. I have made that bet. You can fire that one up, Zach.
Yeah, Zach, fire in, baby.
Yeah, there you go. Good stuff. Like that. I like clarification. Well, my man Knish agrees. Let's get to a few more, and then we'll call it a show. We're giving you enough best bets, in my opinion, on a Monday. Scuba, speaking of great show, he thinks it's a great show. Baby. Good work, guys. Love it. Michael in the chat, Houston, we just talked that one. We like the under more than anything because we're a little hesitant anything with Dana Holgorsen. It's something with that guy. But
I watched a lot of that same Houston game, and against a very good defense, it finally looked really clicking there for you. And they've had some, good offensive performances this year. It's just the variance in his career of backing Holgo. It can be like, oh, we had this amazing effort, and then no, we lost to some peasant here. He's just a really tough coach to gauge. Also, there is a thing where, Texas Tech has been on kind of a bender in terms of having to play at Wyoming, at West Virginia, all around. Houston hasn't left. They haven't played within 15 miles of campus this year. So between Texas Tech being obviously banged up, and when it's 24-0 Texas Tech, I'll be ruining Dana but I think they're live in that game.
Don't disagree. We'll keep it rolling here, guys. Make sure again you're hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel here. Ryan in the chat. Trip. Yeah, there we go. There's Trip. Love it. Ryan in the chat. NC State this week. I don't like NC State. I don't like NC State, period. No. Somebody beat me to Louisville. I didn't bet it. I wanted to bet it. Somebody beat me to Louisville. So
yeah, that was a good one that I didn't get it in on as well early. And now that it's through 3.5, meh. But no, I haven't seen. I will say the early flags are up on NC State, and I've seen nothing to dissuade me from the fact that I don't think their offense is. We said this, the very first week versus UConn. It's they have no skill talent whatsoever, elite skill talent at any position. Their offensive line, Brendan Armstrong's always running for his life. And now it seems like his I don't know if he's banged up or he's got the yips from being under pressure so much. It seems like his play is tailing off too. And it's not a classic Dave Dorn, really good defense. You're Ham, Sam, and Mr. Muscles-on-Ville. That's the right side. Now, granted, it's cross through key, but that would be the only side I would apply. I'm salty that I didn't get in there before it hit 3.
Agree. Grant in the chat, we will get to the NFL. That's how we'll close the show. We'll see if Knish agrees with my NFL pick. GS in the chat, anything on Kent State plus 15.5? Speaking of missing something,
Kent State.
That opened 8. Oof. Somebody got me on that one.
Yeah. Oh boy, that was a bad. That was the worst. That one of the worst of the season.
Yeah, I didn't get it. Somebody beat me to it.
Me neither. I don't know how much more Kent State I can do this year. I really, That's
it for me. I'm done. I'm tapping out.
I thought they could, and even on offense, they had some drives. It was the same thing versus UCF where they have some drives, they don't pay them off, but their defense cannot stop anybody. And it seems I will say the one in the third quarter and fourth quarter of these games when they're down, it's almost like they're I'm not going to say giving up, but it's they start just going through the motions there where against UCF and against Fresno where it's okay, come on, let's get a drive together, get in the back door. And it's they've kind of just mailed it in. So yeah,
that was ugly.
Yeah,
I was Mr. Kent State too. I shouldn't have. Man, that was a Friday show ad. We shouldn't. Or no, we put that on Monday. I forgot. Plus 28. Damn. Should have known when the market didn't move much. William in the chat. We need to hear something special happening in Coral Gables, Florida. He opened the show with it.
Oh, well, I was gonna. You threw me off with Coral Gables, but I was saying something. Listen, they met best looking campus on earth, baby, and best looking football team. Something that's happened with Coral Gables. I've been, you know what? I've been, ever since you told me about that, I've been like waiting on some to play a little Miami ACC. I'm gonna play some this week. I threw some pocket change. I'm gonna throw them on the ACC. The schedule is tough. I think so far they look like the best team in the conference, though. So, yeah, it is. And listen, I was a Miami hater Rocco. I'll tell you what. That's the other thing. When they needed to just grind the game away against Temple, they lined up and just ran them over.
Yeah.
6 yards of carry, 7 yards of carry, 8 yards. And like the fact that and again, it's Temple. It's not like they did it against Alabama, but that they've put a few of these scrubs away real early, and they were able to just nonstop score versus Texas A&M. So I don't know, man. I can't. I'm like shot. We'll see. They got some real opponents coming up and some real tests. So maybe the bottom falls out here, and it's all been Cristobal Fugazi. But I like what I've seen so far.
We'll find out the bye this week, then Georgia Tech, which will be a different barometer than North Carolina and Clemson back-to-back weeks at the end of October. William in the chat, how much would Freeze pay for one of Kiffin's 12 quarterbacks? Yeah, I mean, you take one of them.
The wrong one, I'll tell you that. He can see package him back to East Lansing.
Yeah, and then the final one for tonight before we get to the NFL, Joshua, Texas State -7. I bet it, but not at 7. They might be getting a little pricey. They were a little pricey last week, although they probably should have covered against Nevada. I don't know, man. Southern Miss looks terrible. I can't lay more than 7 on the road. Can you? I mean, I guess if you can lay a 6.5 out there at FanDuel, I see that, but I'm not. Are you there? Did you take part? I laid 4. Is what I ended up laying on the open.
Yeah, I didn't get. I know you good early grab there. I didn't get involved in it. Yeah, I will say Southern Miss was one that I played some Ark State last week and like I cannot believe I did follow that game relatively closely. And their defense is like, whoa, man. And that's this.
They lost the guy to Florida. He was everything.
Yeah. And it's like, man, it was a defense that for years was like illegit. Like, man, you're like this Southern Miss. They couldn't, even when they were running Wildcat, they always had the defense to lean on. And woof, it has fallen off. One more,
what's the total in that game? I gotta look at that. We'll revisit that one on Friday. All right.
I want to keep an eye. This is really in the weeds. Ark State, UMass. Ark State had a backup quarterback that played pretty well against Southern Miss, and then UMass is now they lost Puma, they lost Carlos Davis in the game that over last weekend. They had some other guy come in other than Brady something who was not the new guy.
Brady Olsen.
Yeah, and he actually played pretty well. So this is one
solid. I watched UMass spring game. They do have they had 3 quarterbacks. I'm like, it doesn't matter who they play. It's it's not great, but they're not none of them terrible.
No, I leaned Ark State early in this one after I saw their offense trying to get
1.5. We taking it?
Are you? I'm a little
I made Arkansas State 1.
I kind of I don't think either of the. Yeah, I just don't think either of UMass's QBs are going to play, and I'm kind of okay with whoever plays for Arkansas State. So I think this is one where, if Davis and Puma are both out, I don't know if I've been kind of.
Are we gonna fire?
I'm good. You want to go? If you want to go 1.5 a year, I don't know. I'm a little conflicted of where the market goes on this one, but it's the side I play. Or do you want to wait till Friday?
We're not talking key numbers here. Let's wait till Friday because there's been some movement on these two teams recently.
Yeah.
On both. UMass gets bet every week.
I know. And I finally that was one of the ones that finally faded some. I was like, all right, I have to take New Mexico 3.5. You're like, UMass laying 3.5 at home. So
let's wait till Friday. That's a good plug for Friday show there. Make sure you guys are watching that one 5:00 Eastern Friday. We give you 4-5 on Friday. We're not all early week bettors. here. We do give out stuff late in the week, too. NFL tonight.
Oh, baby.
Tell me I'm wrong. I like Tampa tonight. I know some other people like
I
it.
saw you gave out some. I joined you when you sent that out early. I will say the Tampa resurgence has been, the Baker Mayfield resurgence. I know over at Locky on You Better You Bet is like putting his life savings on Baker Mayfield comeback player of the year. He touts that every week on the show.
So Philly took money today. That's not good for me.
Yeah, I saw it going back. Wow, I didn't know there was a couple of six now out there. Wow.
I like it at 6. I'll put it that way. I don't know. That concerns me, but I like it's more of a play against Philly too. A couple of fraudulent finals for them so far.
Yeah.
I know they got extra rest off a Thursday night game, but all right.
Our forward progress.
I'll cop out and say the old lean Tampa. Lean of the night.
Our forward progress is on the head-to-head battle. Well, you see why this is a college football show, folks, not an NFL show.
Oh, okay. Then I'm in the wrong there. Although Hitman's on Tampa, and he doesn't steer me wrong in the NFL. The old Hitman. That's it then. Unless you got some closing thoughts, man.
No, I think we're able to fire on a bunch early in the week, and we'll circle back Friday for a little second look here. So no, it was. I
thought that was our best Monday show, to be honest with you, man. We're just setting records.
I agree. We're able to, usually we try and, I bet this, but can't. But I thought there was some stuff out here that was definitely worth firing on. So
good stuff, man. Great show. That is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Joey Knish. Thank you to all of you that have watched. Guys, make sure you subscribe to the Hit the Books YouTube channel so you get notified in real time whenever a new episode drops or we go live. If you do enjoy the content, please smash the like button. If you're listening in audio form, please rate and review 5 stars. For Joey Knish, for our outstanding producer, Zach Phillips, I'm Brad Powers. For all our show updates, make sure you're following us at Hit the Books HQ and at the Hammer HQ on Twitter. That'll do it, folks. We'll talk to you Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern.